How's it going, everyone? It's Tekken here, bringing you another Tekken 8 video, and today we're going to be talking about everything wake up options inside of Tekken 8. There's a lot of different wake up options inside this game and a lot of different little details and nuances that you should be aware of when it comes to actually waking up in this game that just aren't really explained to you inside a tutorial for this game. So I thought, what better way to explain all the wake up options in a concise format than just a short video for you all. So let's get and get started talking about all the wake up options and everything you need to know about them within Tekken 8. So first off, how do you actually set this up as far as having the opponent on the ground? Well, simply you go to the settings here, you go to settings, you go to the player status, so you can put the player status, and you go to the opponent status. Players for you, opponents obviously for the opponent, and you simply go down and face up. So there's two different ones that you have to worry about in this game pretty much. So this is the face up one right here, as you can see. So this is the face up position, and then there is the down position, which this is how the down position will look for you. So this is the down position, and once again the other one is the face up. There are differences between the two, and I will be explaining the differences as we go about it, but let's go ahead and start talking about the face up position first, because that is the one you're going to find yourself in the most. Now, talking about the face up wake up options within Tekken 8, we're going to be starting off with the kick buttons here. So 3 and 4. So 3 is going to be this low kick here, as you can see. So this is going to be a low kick that is going to be -9 on block, which means it's going to be safe. So this is a safe wake up option that you can do while you're on the ground. Now, if we go back down to the ground, we can do 4, and 4 is going to be mid attack, also at -9. So the difference between this game and Tekken 7 is that these are going to be safe options for you to do on the ground. If they're blocked, then you are safe. You don't have to worry about getting punished. So these are two options you could do while on the ground. Now, if you press 1, you will simply roll into the background just like that. And this is the one option. However, you can also roll into the foreground by pressing down and 1. So down and 1 is going to roll into the foreground. Now, the reason I want to talk about the actual 3 and 4 buttons first is because these options can actually be done from many different other options from the wake up series. So if I press 1 and then press 3, I can roll and then do the low kick just like that. Same thing if I press 1 and I press 4, I can roll and then do the actual mid kick. And once again, they're still going to be safe. Same thing again if I roll into the foreground. So if I go forward, so if I press down and 1 and then I press 3, I can get the low kick. If I press down and 1 again and then press 4, I can roll into the foreground and then get the mid kick. So you can sort of put the options together, which is pretty cool. Another thing about the 1 is if you continue to hold the down position, you'll actually stay on the ground. So if I press 1 and then hold down, she'll actually roll into the other position. So this is the face down position, and this is where you're going to get the face down options. Now, the one thing to note about this is once you actually do this once, you can't do it again. So if I try to press the buttons again, the 1 button is not letting me roll again. You simply can't roll again. You have to use another option to either kick or get off the ground a different way. Same thing if you roll into the foreground. So if you hold it and then you press down 1 and then you hold the down, you can roll the opposite direction and then go into the face down position, and you can use other options to get up from there. Another option to get up is to simply just tap back, and this will create space between you and your opponent, and this is going to be a back get up option. So this option is pretty safe to do. Is one of the safer options from the full wake up option when you're on the ground. This is one of the safer options to do, and it's just not a bad option. You just create some space from you and your opponent, and you just get off the ground. Another thing you can do is just simply by pressing up. If you press up, the opponent. Another thing you can do is by pressing up. By pressing up, you simply just get off the ground at the spot you are. And just like the 1 option, you can actually do this while actually doing the other things. So if I do the up and I press the kick, you'll see I could come up and have the kick actually happens in the place that I am. And same thing with the 4, same thing right there, as you can see. So you can get these options to happen from there as well. And this is going to just be another one of those options that you could utilize. Just like rolling backwards, you can also roll forward. So if you roll forward, your character will simply roll on the ground towards the opponent, and then they will get off the ground just like that. And just like some of the other options, you can actually use this one along with the kick. So once again, there's the 3 and there's the 4. So you can use this in tandem with those kick options. And once again, this is why I want to go over those kicks first, because a lot of these other options actually utilize that. Keep in mind, the back option don't have access to those kicks. So you don't have access to that. That is their standing 3, as you saw right there. So you don't have access to those from this. Now, another option you have from this is going to be the 3+4, which is going to be the spring kick. This is going to be something that is useful for if an opponent tries to press their offense, because this actually goes over low attacks very, very well. So just to showcase that, just like that. So you can see how this option can beat other things, like say a person going for like a little hell sweep or something while you're on the ground, or like just any low attack while you're on the ground. You can spring up really quickly and try to get past that low. However, you do have to keep in mind that this is going to be an option that is very safe on block. As you can see, this is -14 on block. Now, the frame data can change on that depending on how far back they are, so it can be a little bit safer, but for the most part, it is a pretty unsafe option. Another option about the forward roll is you can do forward roll into 1+2, which is going to be this cross chop. This is actually going to be plus for you. So you actually roll towards the opponent, press 1+2, and then you are +2 on the opponent. So this is very good versus opponents that are a little bit more hesitant to do things, or maybe they're kind of far and they're kind of just waiting like for you to like get off the ground or something. This can be an option for you to actually you know, get some plus frames on what could have been their Oki situation. Keep in mind, it is pretty linear, so if they realize what you're trying to do, they can just sidestep you and then punish you for doing so. So use it sparingly, but it is an option that you can utilize. Now, talking about the one more time before we go back to the back, just again, because you can go into the other options like before. So you can go into this, into the back one, and you could do this into the forward one. So you could do all these different ones together, because remember, if you hold the back, you could go into this other one and then sort of go into these different options. But before that you actually do that, you can simply just go into them and have them all chained together. So I can do forward and then go into the 3. I can just press this, go into the 4. I can press this, roll, and then go into the 1+2. So you can change how you want to implement the options altogether from the 1. And remember, you can do the same thing going into the foreground as well. So it's a lot of different options to play around with, and a lot of different things you can try to do to sort of mess up your opponent's timing on how these things work. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we actually switch over is how this sort of position actually resets itself. So putting command history on as well, so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. If I press the 1 button and hold, like I said, you will be in this position. But if I press it again, as you see, nothing happens, right? Like nothing happens. I can't use that roll option no more. However, if you get hit while you're on the ground, this reset your options. So if I roll on the ground and have Jin kick me here, as you see, I'll now have access to do it again. Like you just saw, I just did it again. He could come up and kick me again, and then I can do it again. See? So you'll have access to another one as long as you get hit. But this also gives you access to another set of options that we'll talk about a little bit later. But first, let's talk about the face down options. One last option from the down position is going to be this sort of down 3 kick right here. So it's going to actually push you away from the opponent on hit like this. So when it connects, it push you away. You're going to be -3, but you're going to get off the ground. Now, if this attack actually whiffs, it's very bad for you. As you see, when you whiff it, you get up right in their face. So it doesn't have a lot of range, and you get up right in their face. And this is going to be something that's going to have a lot of recovery. You can't actually block right away. As you can see, it does take a little bit for you to actually do something. So this can be very devastating. And if this is blocked by the opponent, this is going to be the only unsafe option that's actually going to be launch punishable on block. So make sure you use this sparingly. So for the most part, your face down options are going to be pretty similar to what you expect. So you're still going to be able to do the roll. You're still going to just wake up in place. I can roll to the other side just like this. I can roll and then roll forward. All the same things. I can back, get up and all this. But there are some small differences as what you would see here. For example, your 3 button is going to be a little bit different in how it looks. As you can see, it's still -9. However, the startup, keep in mind, is a little bit slower. That was 26 frames of startup for this 3 attack, as you can see. So it's going to be slower than the other one. And for your 4 attack, it's actually not going to have as much range. If you notice, when we did the face up one, it was hitting, but this one isn't hitting. So it's going to have a little bit less range on the mid wake up attack on the face down option. So this is something to keep in mind. Another interesting thing about this sort of face down position that I sort of found out is that when you actually press just the quick get up, just press up, you actually enter a while standing state in this, and it actually lasts for quite a long time. So even though the game already says you're in sort of standing, so you see status down and it says standing, it will still count you as while standing for just a bit. just like that. That is her while standing. So just show you, this is her while standing 3 right here. As you can see, it gives it to you for quite a while. So it looks like I'm already standing, and then bam, I still get it. So it's really late. So you'll get your while standing normals for a while. And it seemed like this is only for the kicks, because if I press this and I try to press her 1, it just gives me her jab, as you see. But her while standing is actually this. So it does not work for her jabs, but it works for both kicks. So very interesting tool here. This is her while standing 4. Again, this is her while standing 3 right here. So it works for them, but it does not work for the punches. So very interesting that it actually just only works for the kicks. Just another little tidbit for you all as far as the differences. And besides that, it's pretty much the same. Everything else is the same frame data, and the only real differences is going to be the actual startup frames and the sort of distance that the other 2 kicks sort of covered. Because they're actually 2 different animations, they cover a little bit different distances. So not really too many big differences, but those slight differences as far as some of the options that are there, like the just quick get up and having access to the while standings, and just understanding that you're going to have a little bit of slower startup and going to have different ranges is going to be important for you to know for that. And finally, talking about the quick tech options. So there's a different state for when you actually just touch the ground. So there is the full grounded state, and then as soon as you hit the ground, there's actually a new set of options, wake up options, that are completely different from the regular ones. So talking about the 1, 2, 3, and 4 first. So this showcases what this looks like. When Jin hits me, I press 1, I'll roll into the background simply like that, as you see. So this is going to be how that looks. And if you press 3 or 4, you'll roll into the foreground. And this is going to be pretty much like an invincible get up for you. So if you want to get up, probably like one of the safest ways, pressing 1, 2 for rolling into the background, or 3, 4 to roll into the foreground, is going to be one of your safe bets. Now the next thing you could do is press back to simply get back, just like the other one, and then press forward, hold forward, and you'll do this sort of like hop kick like this, where you sort of like spring upwards. So these are going to be the main options that you get immediately as soon as you touch the ground. So you just hold a direction for the other 2. So I'm just holding forward, and you get this. If I hold back after I get hit, I'll get the other one. And then as soon as you touch the ground, you tap 1, 2, or you can just mash it simply like that. Mash 1 or 2 for the background. As you see, I'm just mashing them. And then if I want to go into the foreground, press 3 or 4. And these are going to be the difference in the options. Now, the reason why the 1, 2, 3, or 4, the quick get up, is so good is because of the little bit of invincibility that it seems to have. So just to showcase what I mean by this, if I have this recording play for Jin here, and I try to just hold back, you'll notice I get hit by the kick there. If I try to simply like just hold forward with a little hop kick thing, I get hit and I try to go in the air. But if I press 1 or 2 with the quick get up, you see I roll through it. And if I press 3 or 4, you'll see I also roll through it. His foot is like completely going through me, but you are simply just rolling through the option because it has that slight bit of visibility that I was talking about. So the safest option typically to get up with is typically going to be this right here. And once again, another really good one is going to be this back one right here, because look how much space it creates. Even though you get hit, like you still get the sort of back pedaling state that I'm talking about here. So this is going to lead us to the next thing that I want to talk about before we wrap things up. So one of the big questions you might be having now is, when do you use the quick get up options versus just laying on the ground options? And this is a pretty good question to have. One of the general things you probably could think of when you have this is, say, sort of a Mishima mix, where a character sort of knocks you into the air and then does, you know, the sort of hell sweep mix up that we all know. This is probably going to be something where you want to stay on the ground. A lot of players do this simply because if they do hit you out of something like this and you get up, if you get up early like this, then you are leaving yourself into the mix up, because they don't have to commit to the option right away. They can wait till you get up and then do it. But if you stay on the ground, it makes options like this a little bit harder to utilize, right? So it makes it to where it makes it a little bit trickier for them to do something. And remember, you still have access to your options once you get hit, which makes it to where it's a little bit better for you. So for example, say if I was scared of a wave dash mix and I stayed on the ground and he hits me, I'm waiting for it to get hit, and then I immediately hold back there. Because remember, once you get hit, you get access to your options again. So if I get hit, I have access to do a quick tech at that point. And this is where things get very interesting, which is why you'll see top players sometimes stay on the ground, take one hit, and then get up. So they rather take a little bit of damage rather than a big damaging sort of combo, you know. So probably sometimes take a hit, get up. Now, this isn't always the case of what you want to do, but it just gives you an idea of how in depth this sort of system can be and how you can play around it. So sometimes staying on the ground is not a bad option. Sometimes you could take one little extra hit and then sort of get up at a more safer time than dealing with the person's sort of mix-up game, and it could throw off their timing and stuff. Or they could even sort of overextend, because some people like to run up and then like do like something like this, and then they go over your head, and then you can get up with some of the wake up kick options and actually punish them for overextending or whiffing and stuff like that. And that pretty much covers all the wake up options I want to talk about for you all for Tekken 8. I hope this makes things a little bit more easier for you guys to understand as far as all the options you have at your disposal when it comes to you waking up off the ground and how in depth this system actually can be. It can be very frustrating to deal with, but it's also just nice to know all the things that the opponent can throw at you so you can be better prepared for them, and also, you know, of course, use them to your benefit as well. Anyway, if you like anything I had to say here today, drop me a like. I greatly appreciate it. And if you hear more from me, follow me on my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know the next video goes live. As always, my name is Tekken, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.